This is the Sahn Outdoors podcast.
Dropped like a sack of taters. He's dead right there. He's dead right there.
I went and got a trim the other day, and the gal just kept stroking my beard. She said, "This is the softest beard I've ever felt." And I said, "Well, I take care of it."
Yeah, it's all the
Baird's beard oil.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
got to get that length to really feel the softness.
That's cool.
Yeah. All right, well, we're here at the Hunt Expo in Salt Lake City. I'm McCade Cox.
I'm Zach Mikesell.
I'm Ian Duclos.
And I'm Jeff Baird.
Jeff Baird, the man, the myth, the legend himself.
Not really.
The Viking.
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Okay.
It's a good one.
So Jeff, he dabbles in quite a few different things. Why don't you give us a little history of who you are and what you do, Jeff?
Just always been passionate about mule deer and hunting and just being out away from town and just got me into that world. One of my best friends became a taxidermist, and I was always so jealous because he could always touch stuff, and I had no idea. You don't, now with social media we see what gets killed, but back then taxidermists seen the monsters. You seen the picture at the hardware store or the hunting store, somebody got something, but it gave me, I could go over there and hang out and see stuff, and so that was there, and ended up, he kind of fell apart taxidermy wise, and everybody started getting mad, and I went and helped him and tried to get him out of hole, and kind of learned that I love fleshing raw animals. I love turning the ears inside out.
You love that stuff.
Love it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's hard work.
Love turning the lips on a cactus, a buck that's lived in the cactus all its life, and be able to see what he was eating and foraging on. And it's like a lot of these guys like Ryan Hatch, and these guys keep saying you don't know mule deer until you spend a lot of time with them, and it's amazing how much you learn just from being a taxidermist.
So do you think that that's helped you become a better mule deer hunter by being a taxidermist?
Yeah. The problem with being a taxidermist is I never want to shoot him in the shoulder. I'm always like, I think I can go a little further back on this shot, but no, yeah, for sure. Habits of deer and where they're feeding, what they're feeding on. I get a lot of gross stuff in the shop, and we see it all. So,
wow.
What do you mean by gross stuff?
well,
That needs some elaboration.
I don't know if you guys seen on, I think I posted on the Strip Taxidermy thing, but I got an Idaho buck in this year. Just a massive old buck. One of those ones that don't matter score. Mm-hmm. It just, he's hit that 8-9 years old, and it ain't getting better. My buddy shot it, and when I skinned the head off, I noticed a bunch of big nodule bumps. And not only were they on the hide, but they were around the ears, the face, stuff like that. And so took my, knife, because you got to see what it is, and cut it open and pushed on it a little bit. And, man, it looked like tapioca green pudding coming out. And it was that thick consistency. And, everybody's running around hacking and cacking in my shop, freaking out. And for me, it was cool. What happened with this deer? What was stuck in there, what kind of virus, infection, I guess that's the gross part, gross. And then I get a lot of awesome hunters that leave me a lot of meat and guts and everything else on the hide. So,
do you ever want to give an overall training on how to properly cape out a deer? And
it's been done. I need everybody needs it. We all need it.
Right.
I've screwed up capes, and I'd rather you guys leave a little more on there and not screw up a cape, so that the better you bring me the animal, the better I take care of it as a taxidermist, the better your trophy's going to turn out as an amount, and stuff. It's night and day. I just got 3 capes from Mexico that were completely salted, and not one thing fleshed on them, so they're covered in meat. The ears aren't turned, the nose, nothing's split. And I can send that to the tannery, and they're going to flesh it a little bit for me, but it's never going to be as beautiful of capes as if I would have got them correctly. Mm-hmm. If they wouldn't have salted them, just kept them froze, that'd have been fine. Mm-hmm. I can turn them all, I can do everything, but we get that a lot. A lot of Alaska hunters will their guides, outfitters will salt them to preserve the hide, but they're just hurting us. You know,
Really?
the only time you ever want your hunting guide or a party or anybody with you to put salt on an animal is if that guy has turned the lips, eyes, ears, and mouth and everything, and there's no meat on the hide. Then salt it, great. You know, let it get out dried, and for sure it's gonna come safe. But most of us taxidermists are pretty big freaks about doing it ourselves. I don't want you fleshing my animal. You know,
Yeah.
Monarch Taxidermy, they're here at this expo, and they're unbelievable I don't want them fleshing my animals. They don't want me fleshing theirs. So, you know, we're all just a little
Particular
different.
about
Sure. Have your own
how-
styles.
Yeah, and my best friend, Zeb Hansen, he's a big stuff taxidermy.
Oh, yeah.
Him and Dirk. And, and Zeb was with me when I had my Sportsman's tag deer. And so when I shot it on the Henry Mountains, he's covered in velvet. He's probably a couple days away from stripping. You know, and he's right there. He did all the caping. He did everything.
Yep.
And then he had the formaldehyde, injected the velvet right then, and
Such
everyone's
a
like, "How does
difference.
your velvet look so good?" And he wouldn't let me when we got back into town. He wouldn't let me parade it around.
No.
He's like, "No, that goes in the freezer." He's like, "Don't. We're not putting that on four-wheeler, and you're driving up and down Main Street."
Oh.
He says, "You'll destroy that velvet."
Yeah. We
And
see it
so-
every year. We'll have maggots in the velvet because they paraded it around. You know, that's flesh under there.
Yeah.
You know, there's blood. That's bacteria. Once it turns, it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So as a taxidermist, how do you keep your desire to hunt mule deer? You know what I mean? Like you see big mule deer being brought in. Is it different, obviously, when you see it, you're hunting for yourself, you see it on hoof, you're like, it gets your blood going?
It has changed me in the fact that I used to be 30, I don't know what generation you guys grew up in. I'm 41 years old. It was something 30 inches wide. That was a trophy, you know, and then here the last 10, 15 years, it's rotated to a 200-inch mule deer. But with taxidermy, what's been the neatest thing for me is I really don't give a crap about score no more. I don't want to shoot a 190 buck that's 4 years old. I want to shoot a 190 buck that's 6 to 8 to 10 years old, where they put on the mask, they've got the look, they've got the cape, and this is that taxidermist coming out in you, but I want a mature cape. A mature buck for me to mount is going to be a 10 times prettier mount and a better looking mount because of the size of the actual animal. You know, I mean, we can do a lot of work to break these forms down and create something to look a little more mature, and we get that all the time. We get guys bringing monster deadheads, and they're like, "Oh, hey, I killed this 3-point. Put that cape on there."
You're like,
You
it
know,
won't quite
yeah,
look
a 2.5-year-old
like
buck.
you're right.
Yeah.
And
no
so
justice.
it's changed me in the fact that I appreciate maturity a lot more, you know, and that's, you know, it used to be a 30-incher, a 200-incher, and granted, those are still fun numbers to hit, but maturity of the animal, a 2-point. Oh my heck, you guys should see the 2-point that come in this year from over by Monticello or Moab. I mean, I hate when people call them trolls, but this thing was Coke can massive, you know, and as a 2-point, I mean, had no teeth in its head, and you just wonder what that thing had seen and done.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
So
How smart it was just to avoid everybody for so long.
well, there's so many predators out there and vehicles. You know, they can make it across these highways all the time and make it. It's pretty amazing.
That is very true.
Yeah, well, we were talking with you yesterday just here in front of your booth, and that story you told about the hunt where you saw that deer, he was just staring at you and disappeared, and it took you the whole hunt to realize that's the deer you wanted.
Yeah.
By the time you realized that,
And it was a mature buck. It had that 24-inch looking neck and that big deep brisket and the dark coloring and the maturity, you know. And like I was telling you guys, it just looked at me, looked away, and then come back and locked eyes on me. And it knew it had to leave the does, it had to get out of there, and it didn't do nothing stupid like run off. In fact, it kind of surprised me. It hit a little patch of bushes and stood there probably 45 minutes without moving a muscle, just staring at me to see what I was going to do. And here he had a little bit of cover between us. You know, I still probably could have got the shot off, but it's just, that's how they get there. If I didn't know he would have been there, I never would have known he was there. And makes you always wonder how many times I walked into a canyon and something just locked down and never moved again.
Yeah.
You know.
And we had that. We just went out during the rut here locally, and we were just kind of looking around, and we found a huge typical, and we watched him. We kind of bumped him a little bit, and so he kind of worked his way with his does up, then he kind of went a little higher, and then there were times where it's like, he just does it. Where did he go? Mm-hmm. And he's perfectly behind a tree, or he bedded down, or just something perfect. And it's like, yeah, you always wonder, how many big deer have I walked past? Because I haven't been diligently glassing, or I get impatient. I'm like, okay, next canyon, let's go. You know, and it's like they're there.
Oh,
they're just smart.
Well, the whole way up the mountain, that buck knew right where we were.
Yeah.
He went about his business, but it was like he would look back and look right at us the whole way up. Does would never look at us.
And there's something special about that point where the rut's so heavy that they go, you know what, screw it.
Yeah.
I got to take this chance. There's something special about that day that we get to see these monarchs, come out and go, well, it's worth the chance.
Yeah. How do you feel about the those late season muzzleloader hunts during the? Because you're Southern Utah, a couple units down there. General season
They're
units
on
have
fire.
that muzzleloader hunt. Were you kind of bitter in the beginning, or were you like, hey, this is a great opportunity to harvest one of these, ghosts, these gray ghosts that never show themselves until now?
I'm excited about it. I'm always excited about more hunting opportunities for sportsmen, and especially where it's a limited number of tags. Right. I grew up in Southern Utah hunting the late season muzzleloader. Some of my greatest memories are running around with a hawk and shooting 20 feet above a deer, in the desert. But if I had my nowadays muzzleloaders, everything would have been different. But what I would love to see the Division of Wildlife do is break it down into more units. I mean, here we are on the Pine Valley unit, some of the greatest genetics, unarguably, in the state of Utah. You look at the record books, we have the Boone and Crockett typicals, we have the Boone and Crockett non-typicals. Here we are up by Cabela's. They got the J.K. Fry buck in there, a 207 net typical from 1990, 1989 right in there. Those genetics are there. We have that typical genetic. The Bowler buck was killed there, 256 net non-typical. I think it was killed within a year of that, and every year we see it. We've seen a 240 buck come off the Pine Valley this year. It's one of the, I think hands down is the neatest buck at this expo. Big velvet buck killed with a bow by a cop out of Cedar City, or I'm sorry, I don't know what he does for a living for sure, but I think he's an officer. But we have the genetics, but we also have such an extreme amount of land in the Pine Valley unit that could be broke down and managed so much better, because there are different deer herds there, and there are different, there's highways separating these units that could be awesome. So, growing up there, to answer your question, I love it. I wish there was more of it. Break these seasons up more. And now they're doing the 2 rifle hunts and stuff, but I would like to see it get them another fish and game officer down there and a biologist and break it into another unit and have them over that.
Yeah, I like that.
Don't get me going on this crap.
So if you're watching the podcast, we're going to throw this up on YouTube, but you can tell that Jeff has a very Viking-esque man beard.
It's to the ridiculous stage. But
It's to the awesome stage.
The ridiculously awesome.
How long is your beard? Do you know?
My daughter did a contest a couple months ago. I think it was like 27, 28 inches long, somewhere in there. Probably a couple inches since then, you know.
You ever trim it?
Yeah.
You get split ends?
Yeah, it's always braided, so I don't really bother me that way. I used to trim it a lot more. After this show, I'll probably take 3 or 4 inches off just to make sure it's the same length, because obviously some sides grow a little longer than others, or one side curls a little more than the other. So I need to find a barber out there that knows how to cut a beard too, so that would be rad. But yeah.
Does it ever get in the way of things you're doing?
If it's not braided, yeah, it's a nightmare. You can't pick up a baby, you can't save somebody.
Zip up your jacket.
Yeah,
eat a taco.
You notice Deadeye's got some of the raddest zip up sweatshirts. I'm like, oh, they're all zippers. I'm like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So give us a backstory. You've told us before, but how did the beard come to be?
Sure. So yeah. I didn't grow up LDS. Well, I guess I grew up LDS, but I didn't. You know, we were never a part of the church or anything. I married my beautiful wife, got extremely lucky. Love the church now. You know, always will, always have. And my son is like, you know, my oldest son, he's 22 now, but he's like the light of my life. You know, he's my best friend. He cared more about me than his own friends. And, you know, I've got 3 other kids that don't, which is fine. But, you know, he decided to serve a mission. I was extremely proud. I was like, yes, you got to do it. I'm so excited. I was excited the moment we pulled up, and then all of a sudden they give us a number and say, okay, you could drive to this number and let them out and stay in your vehicle type stuff. And, you know, when you let go of somebody you love, you know, it's an awesome and weird feeling. I think the word for the whole missionary experience for me as a father was weird. You know, because you drive up and drop your best friend off for 2 years and you're not going to talk to him or touch him or punch him or wrestle him or see who can throw a rock further because we can't catch fish, you know, and it was a weird feeling and it was tough. And anyway, sorry, I go on, but he gets out of the truck and I go, I ain't shaving until you get home. Because we just joke nonstop, and he goes, "You better not." And we're trying not to cry, looking at each other.
How long was your beard at that point?
Like your guys's,
Oh, okay.
you know. I've
So
always
also
had
awesome.
a beard, yeah, just in that bad A state, you know. But not to the ridiculous clown circus stuff. But yeah, I shaved off, and people at my gym didn't even know who I was because I always have something. And then it kind of caught on, and then he got home and. You know, he's been home 2 years and 4 months now, and I ain't shaving. You know, I don't know what. It'll probably get caught in something.
Force your hand,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
Catch on fire.
fire or
Oh,
something.
man.
Watch
Yeah.
out around rotating equipment.
Yeah. I run fleshing wheels, all sorts of stuff, and yeah, we'll get caught
So-
someday.
Braid it and keep it tucked into your shirt when you're working.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
At what point was it while your son was still in his mission? Was it your daughter or your wife that came up with the idea for Baird's beard oil?
It was my daughter.
It was your daughter?
Yeah, because I obviously use a lot of it and enjoy it. And the guy actually who was making it there locally quit making it. And we tried some European. We tried all sorts of different scents. And to be honest with you, a lot of the scents were like, not to be racist, but gypsy or like, you know,
Like a lot of patchouli and things like
yeah,
that.
like I'm not that way. I'm not a
I don't like
I'm
to
not an
smell like
oils guy or an incense guy, you know. And so my daughter messed around with a bunch of scents, and I'd say no and yeah and no and yeah, and we come up. I think we got 3 or 4, and we got a great cover scent for hunting. You know, some pine, things like that. We got cat's meow. That's kind of the women's favorite.
I love cat's
Yeah,
meow.
and a lot of the guys, you know,
Ladies are
obviously the
always
guys
like,
love it.
"Ooh, you smell good.
Yeah.
What is that? My beard."
Yeah.
It's an attention getter, man.
It
Come
is.
closer.
Well, that's how you got our attention
Yeah.
last year at the expo. That's where we met you, and
Yep.
you're like, "Nice beards, guys." We're like, "What? Your beard is way better."
No.
And I was like, "What is that delicious aroma I'm smelling?" Cat's meow.
Yeah. Yep, and gun barrel musk is my favorite. A little more manly, but
the gun barrel musk.
you
It's a
know,
good
I
one.
can. It's fun to go back and forth too, because obviously you're going to get sick of something every day.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about your oils is they're all stuff that nobody else is doing.
Yeah.
They're scents, like you said, you were looking for and you like. So
And I've been surprised, you know, because we've tried quite a few, and it's, you know, I've tried other beard oil companies because I like, you know, supporting other people too, and
Yeah.
and I've always been surprised nobody's had the same scents as us. You know, obviously pines and some of our cedar woods are more similar to some, but yeah, the cat's meow, gun barrel. We just come out with the Fireball, which, you know, people have had bad time with Fireball whiskey. You get that around them, they get a little nauseated. But if not, it's a great smell. It's like the Fireball suckers and
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so,
That's been my favorite recently.
yeah,
Yeah. That mixed with a little bit of gun barrel musk.
there you go.
That's pretty awesome.
Nice.
So you've got all these scents, and you've got the oils, and then you've also got the butters.
Uh-huh.
What are the differences between the
So a butter to me is more, if I go to Alaska, my beard blows up. If I go to Hawaii, my beard blows up.
Humidity.
The humidity in the air. And a lot of the time I come up here, Salt Lake, it does the same thing. I'm a desert rat, you know, I'm down in that dry desert. I don't have to use a lot of butter, but butters, you're gonna be more, you know, a control thing, because you're obviously turning it from a butter to an oil by rubbing it in your hands. and putting it back on your beard, the body temperature is not going to affect it, and it's going to have a little more control. Obviously, the oils are going to help with your skin conditioning, your scent, more than the butter will. And the butter does seem to last a little longer in scent because it is more of a waxy substance,
So how much butter did you have to use this morning for that whole entire thing?
I like I said up here, I do oil, and I usually do the palm of my hand. It's pretty deep.
Yeah.
A lot of people I recommend a pea, maybe the size of a dime or a nickel. But when it's to the ridiculous clown Stein beard, then style of beard, then yeah, that takes a little more.
Now, have you had to convince your wife to let you to continue having the beard, or does she love it?
I swear she loves it, and she
We might
loves
need to
me.
get her over here.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear her
she's-
side of the story.
Yeah, she's the most supportive woman in the world. I mean, I can go hunt Arizona for 2 weeks and call her and say I just found a ride to Mexico. I'm going to go down there and hunt for a couple weeks, and she's like, okay, I love you, and she keeps
That's
everything
awesome.
going, and we support each other. We've been together since we were 15, so I don't think we know any different than whatever's
awesome.
whatever's good. Yeah, and so the beard has been great with her. I've joked with her and said, hey, I've had it, I'm cutting it off, just see what she's going to say and be serious.
Right.
And she's like, no, you're not. You're not cutting off that beard. So gives me a little hope she still
That's
loves
awesome.
it and likes it.
That's good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
My wife struggles with mine.
Mine too.
She's like,
yeah.
she's like, I can't kiss you, but because it's not to the soft
It's not
stage.
soft yet.
I need to get to that point.
My
And then,
wife oh wait.
Yeah. McCade.
I just love
Right.
having the freedom to grow the beard I want.
Yeah.
Well, you just need to find a woman who loves your beard.
There you
That's
go.
the key.
We talked to Mark Mule Slayer Smith yesterday, and we asked him a question like, what qualities or how do you look for a good hunting partner? And he related it to finding
Partner.
a life partner,
Yeah.
like his wife.
Yeah.
And I think it hit home like a lot. Like, wow, you really got to look for someone that's trusting and has faith, and you support one another. And he said it is not a 50-50,
No.
contribution to each other. It's a 100-100.
Yeah.
And we were like, whoa,
Yeah,
that's
I
deep.
never thought about that.
Yeah, it hit us hard. It's cool.
And so it sounds like you and your wife have that exact same thing.
You found
going.
it.
We've been fortunate. I think we're 24 years this year of being married. We've been together 3 years
Congratulations.
before that. And like I said, I get up here at the Expo. I go around a lot of places and I see a lot of women and a lot of relationships, and I go, dang, I got it pretty good at home. Mm-hmm. I don't need much convincing. And if you've seen my wife, then I've been told 15 million times that I definitely married up. So, yeah.
Yeah, and there's no
That's what
greater
you wanna do.
compliment.
Yeah.
No greater compliment when somebody says, "Yep."
Oh, yeah.
How
Yeah.
did you get her?
The nice thing is, though, about the beard, I have to throw it in, is my wife's insanely gorgeous. She's got an identical twin. And I mean, since I was 15, I've been infatuated, but so is everybody else in southern Utah or anywhere else we go. And I've had guys looking her up and down right in front of me. Like, bro.
Like, dude, I could.
Like, I've stepped in front of guys and go, what's up, And they're looking at me like, oh, well, get out of the way, dude. Did you see this lady?
But now,
But with the beard?
Oh,
Holy. I look around and guys are just nodding at me, and I'm like,
Yes, sir.
oh, yep,
Yes, sir.
yep.
playing the
Kind
part,
of took the attention off her, which has been great for me, you know.
or if they are looking at her, you just
It's an intimidating
kind of
thing.
stroke the beard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Start carrying a hatchet everywhere you go, too. It might-
seriously.
That's cool.
So,
That's
Jeff,
awesome.
I have another question for you. And everyone kind of has a different answer. But to you, what defines a successful hunt? What makes a hunt successful?
When you look back at every hunt you've done, because it's always the friendships, and it's always, I do a lot of solo hunting, and I've told people this, is I killed a deer on a really good tag in Colorado the first day, like 5 years ago. And I called my wife so pissed. It was a big mature buck, just a gagger, neat buck. You can't not shoot him. And I called my wife, and she goes, what's wrong? And I go, I had 7 days by myself to sit here and think about how I can be a better dad, how I can be a better husband, how I can run my businesses better, and you only get that clarity in the mountains. And so it's a big answer, you know, for your question, but obviously the relationships you have out there. A deer's a deer. It's just a stupid deer. I hate to say it. We all spend so much money on it, and everybody does, you know. But it's just a deer when it comes down to it. You go to a funeral, you know, and you listen to what the attributes of that person was. I told all my kids one day, please don't get up and say I was a good hunter.
Right.
Please get up and say that your dad always told you he loved you. You know, because that's what matters. And I get those relationships with my kids so much better away from television, so much better away from our phones.
The distractions of the world. I agree 100%. My grandfather passed away this last week, and I was able to go to his funeral, and it really put things into perspective. Like you're saying, you know, the things of this world don't matter one bit. We think they do, and some of the things I think help us have some enjoyable times.
Sure.
But really, the only thing that lasts is the relationships you make.
Sure. Yeah.
And it put things into perspective.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, this week I went out a couple times shed hunting or just trying to kind of see where the deer have been. And it's funny because I get up above the town of Tooele and everything's so small, right? You're up on the mountain, you just realize, and it's like down here, when you're amongst everybody, you tend to, you know, keeping up with the Joneses. Oh, look at the nice truck they have. Look at the house they have. Look at all the space they have. Look at the acreage they have. When you get up on the mountain, you look down, you're like, everything that is such a big deal in my life is minuscule. It's tiny.
Yep.
So I agree 100%. When you get up in the mountains, clear your mind.
Yep.
You kind of get things in perspective, and it's like, okay, what's really important here?
Sure.
You know, and like you said, it's relationships with those you love. It's relationships with your hunting buddies. It's the, you know, the laughing and the making fun of each other and getting back to camp, telling stories, whatever it is.
Yep.
That's what you remember.
And I hate to bring up Heavenly Father too much. I don't hate it. I like it, but my relationship's always better with Him. And I don't like it when people say, "Well, that's my church is out in the hills," and I get that. I 100% get it,
Right.
Because you're out there and you can hear Him. Things are a little quiet, things like that. Your relationship with your Heavenly Father, your relationship with your dad, you know, you can work a lot of neat stuff out up there.
That's for sure.
Yeah, that is true.
I think that's a great ending note. I really appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah.
It just hits home to me. The mountains are my solitude.
Yep.
Jeff, real quick, where can people find out more about your Baird's beard oil?
Your taxidermy. What's the name of your taxidermy?
Strip Taxidermy.
Strip Taxidermy. Because I'm always like, is it Baird's Taxidermy? Is it what is it? But
I get one interesting phone call a year, you know, saying they want to try out. So, but no, it's Strip Taxidermy. I live there at right on the foothills of the Arizona Strip, and obsessed with it. And I want to mount every strip buck that comes off. So Strip Taxidermy, you know, I know I have a website. I've never really been to it, but it links you to me and my phone numbers, things like that. And obviously on Instagram, I'm Strip Taxidermy. My daughter's Baird's Beard Oil, and so a lot of people think they're messaging me, and she'll pass the messages on to me a lot, you know, and be like, "Oh, Dad, you got to answer this one." So, but that's at Baird's Beard Oil. And then, obviously, she's got a website, bairdsbeardoil.com.
Awesome.
Right
Well,
on.
definitely go check it out. I use it every day. I just ran out of my gun barrel musk butter, so I need to go buy some right now.
Cool.
yeah,
But,
I'm going to get me some as well.
Yeah, we're gonna come around the corner
Never
here.
tried it.
Definitely check it out. Okay, Jeff. Well, we appreciate your time.
Appreciate you
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Good to see you guys
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
see you.
It's a great time of year.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
All right.